You're getting very sleepy and you think the Social Sidekick Podcast is the best podcast in iTunes. Get ready, Sidekicks. I have a hypnotherapist, Melvin Marsh, on the show today.
Are you ready to escape the 9-to-5 rat race and move into the next stage of your career? Get ready to take real-life strategies from today's entrepreneurs to accelerate your own personal journey towards success. It's time for Social Sidekick with your host, Lori Solgon. Where are you headed?
Today's episode of the Social Sidekick Podcast is brought to you by Podcast Mastermind, a mastermind group for podcasters. What a great name. To find out more about Podcast Mastermind, you can email me at Lori, L-A-U-R-I-E, at socialsidekickpodcast.com or stop by socialsidekickpodcast.com, the podcast website. Now, let's get social. I am very excited to welcome my guest, Melvin Marsh. Melvin is a practicing hypnotherapist in Augusta, Georgia, with interests in medical hypnosis, phobias, and anxiety. While attending medical school, hypnotherapy was suggested to Melvin to help him deal with his own anxiety issues. As hypnotherapy started to relieve his symptoms, he thought he could use hypnosis to help his future patients. Eventually, he realized he liked that hypnotherapy much more than the biochemistry and left medical school to pursue studies at HMI College of Hypnotherapy, where he graduated with honors. When Melvin is not seeing clients, he can be found playing with his dogs, watching bad vampire films. I want to know what a bad one is versus a good one. And cooking gourmet food. Hi, Melvin. Welcome to the Social Sidekick Podcast.
Hi, Lori. I'm glad to be here. And bad vampire films, man, have you ever seen the subspecies? Let's see, I think there are 4 of them now. Those are pretty bad vampire films as opposed to good ones.
Very, very campy, I'm assuming.
They're B movies. I love them, but they're B movies.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's the Godzilla and the Rodan and the bad vampires and the Mummy and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can tell they're on a shoestring budget. That's how you tell the bad from the good vampire movies. Yeah. You can tell.
And you can see the strings as they move the puppets. But anyway. So
actually, with that one, you almost can. You can see that it's stop motion. It's really weird.
How funny. How funny. I love stop motion animation. But let's talk about you. Let's get away from the bad vampire movies unless you are a bad vampire yourself. And oh, by the way, there's
a joke about that.
I heard the squawking. I have rescue parrots, and they're in the other room. It's still light out here, so periodically, there may be some background squawking, and if any of you are interested in getting a new pet, a dog, a cat, a parrot, please consider rescue. But let's move on from that. I always get interrupted by the dumb birds, and actually I'm reading a book right now about how the genius of birds, because they are pretty smart, like a 2 to 4-year-old child. You went to medical school, or you started medical school, and you decided, that wasn't the thing for you, so you switched to hypnotherapy school. So did you have any kind of 8-to-5 job while you were going to school or before you went to medical school?
Oh yeah, I've spent time both in and out of school. Actually, I've been in school for a very long time because I love it. But I've had several, normal. Well, I should never say normal because nothing I ever did was normal. But I did have several jobs where I was the worker bee, shall we say. And I always was juggling school as well. I've literally been in college 20 years because I enjoy it. Yeah. But I've been everything from an office assistant. I've worked at a zoo. I've been a research assistant, which that's actually I really like the most. I've been an EMT, which I would really advise nobody ever doing. It's great, but man, it's very, very stressful.
Yeah, it is stressful. Years ago, in another life, I was a respiratory therapist, and you have repeat clients, unfortunately, sometimes, and you get attached to these people, and then they die on you, and it can take a toll on you, because you get attached. But when you were going to medical school, you had some kind of anxiety issues, and somebody suggested hypnotherapy, which seemed to help you. And that's why you decided you were going to become a hypnotherapist. So was this totally a shock to you that, wow, this is helping and I want to do this, or what?
Well, you could say that there were various times when I was kind of shocked. And I had another therapist who, after I started hypnotherapy, and said I was going to, I had already taken a few classes, but hadn't enrolled in the advanced courses at HMI yet. I had one therapist who said, given the issues with medical school and the fact you're being treated so poorly, you might want to consider a plan B. And actually, he informed my husband, like may I point out, that he was going to pay for my hypnotherapy school, and I was doing that, and I was figuring this was just going to be a good side thing to pick up some part-time, because you're not allowed to work in medical school, not like you have time, but that is literally an 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. job, and then you go home and study. I can tell you that for certain. That people say that as a joke. It's not really a joke. That is true. It's basically two full-time jobs, basically.
Yeah, it is. I used to hang out with medical students, and they had no life.
Yeah, but so I was figuring, okay, well, on the weekends maybe I could see a client or two, make some extra cash. It'll be great. And there are always going to be some times. Maybe I'll have a rotation that's not going to be really cool. Maybe I'll have some time off. Maybe I could actually help them directly in session, stop smoking, use NLP. And then I went back to medical school, got a lot of harassment for certain parts of my life, and I said, I don't need this harassment anymore. And I checked out. I said, I'm done. Goodbye. And I basically said, okay, I'm going to finish my hypnotherapy stuff. And I went into private practice and got certified, and it was great. I'm less than 6 months from graduation from hypnotherapy school.
So now, the school that you attended, or most hypnotherapy schools, are they like a bachelor's degree, or are they a year certification program? What's the structure, the curriculum like?
Well, there's actually not that many actual colleges of hypnotherapy out there. There's actually only one that's nationally accredited, and that's where I attended. It takes about around a year to complete the information, and then you still haven't done that's about how long it takes you to do the classwork. I had about 300 hours clock hours, so there were a lot of final exams, a lot of quizzes, nothing a former medical student can't handle at all. And then you still, once you graduate, you have to go and actually get your hours, your clinical hours. HMI, which is where I attended, they encourage you to go to the Hypnotherapists Union. So you come in and you do another 200 clinical hours of work before you're certified as a hypnotherapist. There are some weekends programs out there that are that are very questionable. I wanted to make sure that I went to a good school that was recognized, so that nobody could ever question what I did and didn't learn.
With your clinical hours that you had to do, did you have to do it in another certified hypnotherapist's office, or your own office, or what?
I did it in my own office. Through HMI, you get a union supervisor, and basically you do your own stuff, and then you come back and talk to your supervisor about the clients. You get feedback from your supervisor, about the clients. How could you have done this better? They also do encourage you to work with other students for certain things, such as practicing your inductions, your deepeners. They really don't want you to do therapy on your fellow students, but people do. But for the 200 hours, basically I sat here and was seeing clients, and every time I hit about 20 hours of clients, I contacted my supervisor and I said, hey, when can we make another appointment to talk? Usually by the time that she actually we had an appointment, I was already past 20 hours at a time. So it was slow going the first month or so. And then the second month it started picking up. And then I knocked out like 80 plus hours in a month, which I think may or may not have scared my tutor and / supervisor. So I'm not so sure, but she was like, "This is incredible. I cannot believe you moved through this fast."
That's great.
I got all of my hours within like 2 months, 3 months. So that was unheard of.
And since you were not certified yet, but you were seeing patients, how did they find you? How did you find them to work on them to get those 200 hours? And then after that, how did you, once you were certified, how did you start networking or promoting yourself to get and help more people?
Well, the promotion, you start as soon as you graduate. And actually, a lot of people start getting a few hours here and there before they graduate. Once you graduate from your program, you're not a certified hypnotherapist. You are, in fact, a master hypnotist. So that's still something. You know, I have cards that say either master hypnotist or hypnotherapist, but do not say certified hypnotherapist. What I did was for a few things, I did use a friend of mine who is in medical school still, and I did a few things with her. I also worked a little bit on my fellow classmates, but not like a huge amount. Then, but maybe like 30 hours or something total. And I got very, very resourceful at a certain point. On Facebook, I'm not sure how often you come up on Facebook, but there was this ad that kept popping up over and over and over again. Simbi.com. It's a barter exchange thing. And I was like, maybe if I go on there, maybe I'll be able to get it a couple hours. I don't care how many hours I get. I ended up getting 80 hours in a little over a month just from them. So I did a lot of exchange work. So these people didn't want to pay for a hypnotherapist, but they were willing to pay. So they were willing to network and say, hey, if I do some of your flyers for you, since you have to have that done anyway. Look, I'm a graphic artist. I do it, as a hobby, whatever. Can I have a session to help me stop smoking? And I was like, sure, why not? So I was actually I was playing this very, 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 very intelligently, and I ended up getting a lot of hypnotherapy people. The sheer fact that I wrote down on my profile, I'm practicing hypnotherapist, basically similar to what you read. That's on my Simbi profile.
That's fascinating. I've never heard of that. How do you spell Simbi?
I'll put it in the text box, and now you can put that.
Okay, I see that. I see that. That's a great idea. Is a little bit of bartering to get a win-win situation. You get more clients, and then in return they get the hypnotherapy, and then you get some stuff for that, like flyers and things.
Yeah, it was great. I actually did a huge amount of stuff. A huge amount of stuff that was done. I got my networking stuff done. I got a whole bunch of networking stuff done. I got my flyers done. I got this, that, the other. I already knew that I was, based on how fast I was going through my program at HMI, I learned that if I wasn't careful, I was going to be eligible for the Director's Award. And I said, okay, well, send me the information for this award just to see. I mean, if I get it all, great. If I don't, oh, well. And I had this list of steps that they recommended taking to build your practice. I got a whole bunch of those things done off Simbi, so it was less work I had to do. I ended up getting a professional graphic artist for some of the things. Got some data entry done. Got this, got that, got the other. And was very, very helpful.
That's just, I love when I talk to my guests and they tell me stuff that I haven't heard of before. I think it's just fascinating, and I think it's very helpful to the audience to hear this kind of stuff. So you're a few months out. You said you're about 6 months out of school.
I'm 5 months out of school. I'm 3. Let's see. I graduated the end of December. I got my certification the end of March with all the hours. So I've been fully certified about 2 months.
And so could you essentially say that you're doing this full time in the sense that if you were doing it 40 hours a week, that would be considered full time, or what?
I'm doing it almost 40 hours a week.
That's great.
When you work with, that's not all. I mean, actually, I don't need to do 40 hours a week as far as seeing clients. First of all, I'm not seeing clients 40 hours a week. Hypnotherapy can be very, very draining, but it pays well. So I'm happy if I have 10 clients a week at $150 a pop. It's, that's my hourly rate is $150.
I've known people that have had hypnotherapy to stop smoking, and it worked for them for like 20 years. And then this one gal that I'm thinking of, her adult son was in a very, very bad car accident where he almost died. And that was the trigger that started her smoking again after 20 years of not smoking. So she was going to, when he got better, she was going to go back and do hypnotherapy again because it worked great on her. Is there like a success rate that, it's not, there's no guarantee, obviously, but do you find that some people, it takes them more sessions to get them to do what they want to do or don't want to do anymore, or what?
Yes, a lot of it does depend on things like how willing are they to quit. I won't work with somebody, let's say it's smoking, okay, since you brought it up. And they want a scale of 1 to 10. I know I sound like a doctor right now. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to quit? You better tell me 7 or higher. Okay? Because if you don't want to quit, there is no persuasion I can do to convince you to quit. If you have something that if you really do want to quit, I'm gonna help you to do so. I've gotten several people in, just 1 or 2 sessions down pretty drastically off their smoking. I got one person that she was already weaning herself down. After one, she was on the e-cigarettes, so she was still getting the nicotine. One session, she stopped. Okay, I cannot ever promise that it's one and done.
There are no guarantees with any of this, and you're right. You have to be ready in your mind. When you lose weight or you want to quit smoking, it's not I'm going to stop smoking or I'm going to stop eating. It's you have to get right in your mind that this is what you're going to do.
Yeah, HMI frequently, when we were originally taking all this, I'm allowed to get certified in stop smoking hypnosis. They do show you, they do give you a class, an introductory class on doing that. And in their methods, they suggest 6 sessions. We're aiming to not have it take 6 sessions. We're aiming that it takes 1. But we give ourselves some leeway.
Yeah, you got to, because everybody's different. So with the Symbi, that got you started with your business, got flyers and all sorts of other things for your business. But moving forward, are you still using Symbi, or are you using other things to network and get more clients, or what?
I'm using Symbi for networking. I'm also, I've been actually in networking meetings since I graduated from school. Let me tell you, I go to a local networking group that was only for people in Augusta. I'm in Augusta, Georgia, in this CSRA area. So far, I've not gotten anything off of them, except for grief, but because I'm the hypnotherapist and people are scared of me. But I am able to get, people know at least who I am in this area. I do network with other hypnotherapists. Some are nicer about it than others. Some hypnotherapists are very, very defensive, and they don't want to work with other people. Some people, or just to even have another hypnotherapist in the city is this great offense. I've never been like that. More the merrier.
Yeah, and what's sad about that is that because of, online and webcams and things like that, you're not necessarily tied to Augusta, Georgia. You could, essentially work with anybody in the world.
Yeah, most of my clients are virtual. So I have one in-person client that he recently just booked a few more appointments with me. He's an in-person. And I have one other person that's in the Augusta area that she alternates between in person and virtual, because she's got kids. And pretty much everybody else is at least a few hundred miles away from me. So,
so how did you find those people? Through Symbi as well, or how did they find you?
I found some of them through that. I found some of them simply through my website.
About social media, do you have something that you like to use for social media to get clients, or it's just a support thing?
I have Facebook, I have YouTube, I have Twitter. My LinkedIn hasn't done anything, so I don't even talk about it. But anytime I put a post up on my blog, which is on my website, that's usually where blogs are, it automatically goes to Facebook, which automatically goes to Twitter. So I have that set up. I've got 108 Facebook likes on my practice's social media. A lot of them came basically almost all at once, and I was like, I don't know where these people are coming from, but I don't mind. But I scroll through the names, and I'm like, oh, I recognize them. I performed hypnosis on them. Yeah, that was that was a weight loss. Oh yeah, that was anxiety. So I do use that. I also do use Symbi to say, hey, can you guys help me with marketing? Hey, can you help me with? Do you have any good ideas of where to put out business cards in area X, Y, or Z I'm traveling through? Do you want me? Do you need me to help you with something? I go into Atlanta very frequently because it's about 3 hours away, and I'll just go there and I'll start dropping off business cards. I usually have about 100, anywhere from it's usually about 100 business cards on me at all times. If I know I'm going out to do some serious walking and networking, I'll bring up to 1,000 business cards.
Wow, that's interesting.
One day when I knew I was going to go out and spend some time in Atlanta, I brought one of those huge boxes of Vistaprint boxes, one of those ones. I think it's like 500 per box, whatever it is. I went out, I gave out, but I emptied that one and I worked on some of my other stashes. I gave out over 700 cards that day.
Now, how'd you give them out? Just by walking around and introducing yourself, or what?
Well, it's amazing what you can do when they find out you're a hypnotist. First of all, I almost always wear my hypnotist badge. I do have a badge that, since I went through the Hypnotherapist Union, when you certify, they'll send you this gold badge. So very frequently I'll walk around with that. If I'm not wearing that, I have a polo with the name of my practice on it, the name, my name, CHT after me. So it's very clear that I'm probably doing something with hypnosis. I one time went to Six Flags over Georgia. I was wearing my polo, and I was in line for whatever, Monster Mansion or whatever it is. And the girl in front of me turned when we were and said, "Oh, do you do hypnotherapy?" And we got to talking, and she ended up with some of my business cards because I had them in my pocket.
I love it.
I even take something as minor as going to a theme park to have fun. I still have a small thing of business cards on me, even though that if you're on a water ride, they're going to get soaked. That's okay. I've got a waterproof business card holder. I have a few hiding in my wallet, which is water resistant. I don't stop.
That's very, very creative. But I am going to stop you because we're going to get into the reinvent the spiel part of the show. I love that. It's creative. It won't get wet. The spiel part is where something was negative, how you turned it around, made it something positive in your life. You learned from it. You moved forward. So let me know, Melvin, what is your spiel?
Oh, I have so many, but I will state that I am thinking about sometimes when I was being harassed in school, in medical school, for being transgender. It's not something we've spoken about so far, but I do announce that on my website. I'm not particularly ashamed of it. It is what it is. And I was constantly getting beaten up and attacked for either being a Jew or being transsexual. And, it ended up being great because I got myself out of a very toxic situation and ended up in hypnotherapy. And now I'm working with a lot of transgender people. I always wanted to even when I was going to be a doctor, I wanted to work with the trans community. But that gave me a completely different way of doing it, in a way that now I don't have to worry about a situation such as an observant Jew, there are days I don't really want to work. I don't have to worry about having to get time off from school. Okay, fine. I can just go into my schedule, put in busy, and now it blanks off. My people can't schedule me on days where it's blanked out. I have complete control over my schedule. Just thank God, because I had problems in medical school for something silly that I had little control over, and it gave me this great thing. I wanted to be a doctor so badly. I kept future pacing myself, walking down and helping people. I'm doing everything and more that I wanted to do just because I left school, became a hypnotherapist, and I've got so much better life.
Yeah, I can hear the passion in your voice. You really found your calling, and I think that was the path that you were supposed to follow. I think that is absolutely great, and it's nice to hear that you're able to assist and help and work with the trans community, because that's very important today, in today's world. So, Melvin, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get all of your social media handles and the information about Simbi on my website at socialsidekickpodcast.com for Melvin's episode and all of his contact information. And Melvin, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I'm pretty much easy to find almost anywhere. Let's see, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. You can email me at afterhourshypnotherapy@gmail.com. That's a good way of contacting me. But realistically, you can find me. All you have to do is type in my name in a search engine. There will be 10,000 different ways of contacting me. But I'm usually pretty easy to get a hold of. Hell, if you look on Simbi, it says you typically respond in 9 minutes.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, thank you, Melvin. This is great. And sidekicks on your journey to and through entrepreneurship. If you need to lose weight, stop smoking, get rid of anxiety, or just want to figure out a better way to become an entrepreneur, check out your journey and ask yourself, where are you headed? Thank you, Melvin.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode, so be sure to head over to socialsidekickpodcast.com for show notes covering everything from today's topics to more information on our guests. We look forward to getting you to the next stage of your career here on Social Sidekick.